I couldn't believe our reunion would be during a prostitution sting. She lay naked in the arms of a fat man. The moment her eyes met mine, her beautiful chest heaved violently. My eyes burned red. I violated protocol, secretly fining that fat man 50,000 yuan. I warned him that if he dared to utter a word, I'd expose everything to his entire family. The glistening handcuffs snapped shut around her wrist. I barked at her to follow me. She crawled pitifully before me, like a lost stray dog. It wasn't until we were out of the hotel that she stood up and punched me hard in the chest. "Having fun playing cop, are we?" she sneered. We were a pair of swindlers, a pair of born deceivers with no limits. I shed the fake police uniform, shaking the bank card in my hand at her. "Clara, that fat guy's probably still sitting obediently in the hotel, waiting to be arrested. It's hilarious." She glanced at me, taking a swig of liquor. "Impersonating a police officer is a serious crime. You could have just played my brother like before." I waved her off. No way, more and more cheapskates these days. They'd rather take a beating than cough up money. They dare to offend a brother but not a cop. Clara chuckled, her full, red lips drawing closer, her breath sweet as orchids. My gaze flickered to her chest, and suddenly the image from earlier that day flashed in my mind, a surge of revulsion twisting in my gut. "Get away from me," I pushed her away. "That old pervert touched you all over, didn't he?" A corner of her mouth lifted, not just asterisk touched all over. I said nothing, drinking crudely. Clara then laughed wildly. "We're always putting on an act, each with our own needs. Don't go taking it seriously." I instantly grinned. Is my acting good enough? She gave me a thumbs up. "You're a natural-born swindler, all right, but I never imagined a swindler like me would one day get conned." The next day, Clara vanished, and with her, that bank card. I rubbed my throbbing temples, muttering curses as I rushed out of the hotel. A police car suddenly blocked my path. 7 or 8 officers immediately surrounded me. "Ethan, don't move, you're under arrest." As their hands clamped me to the ground, I still, foolishly, worried about Clara. Could she have been arrested too? To my surprise, I looked up and saw her beautiful, radiant face appearing in an airport-bound bus. Clara, behind the bus window, waved at me from afar. "Fly, fly, fall, damn it, I'm..." Before I could finish the last word, a powerful punch landed on my face. Every day in my cell, I replayed Clara's image in my mind. I was afraid I would forget her face. Afraid that after getting out, I wouldn't find her. Afraid I wouldn't be able to land a solid punch on her. I wanted to squeeze that slender neck and tell her, "You damn con artist." And so, days turned into weeks. I shouted slogans, pedaled the sewing machine, and shuffled along with the crowd. The sun rose, the sun set. I ran my fingers over the deepening wrinkles on my face, startled to realize the fire of anger in my heart was slowly extinguishing. So at night, I constantly reminded myself I would never let that little wretch off the hook. I had asterisk to find her. I had asterisk to see her. Want to see her? Yes, I missed her. After my release, the first place I went was the small town in the south. It was the only fixed abode we ever shared. Though many years had passed, I wasn't sure it would still be there, but beyond that place, I seemed to have nowhere else to go. Luckily, this dilapidated house had bravely weathered the years of my incarceration, still standing stubbornly before my eyes. Perhaps because it was so old and worn, it looked exactly as it did in my memory. I pushed the door open. Everything visible was covered in dust. A quick glance revealed an envelope on the table. Huh! A strange feeling flickered within me. I opened it. Inside were a letter and a bank card. The handwriting was soft and endearing. I knew it too well. "Ethan, by the time you read these words, I'll be dead. I'm sorry I reported you to the police, getting you locked up, and for taking advantage of your feelings. But I had cancer then. For a scoundrel like you to live freely would surely be a disaster. So you had to go in there to change yourself, to start anew. The money in the card is the fruit of our hard work all these years. You spend money like water, so I saved a little for you. The password is my birthday. If you even forget my birthday after you get out, then you deserve to die poor." The word "die" was written boldly. I could almost see her cold, mocking smile as she penned that letter. The paper was yellowed, dotted with tiny, dried water stains. I took a deep breath, neatly folding the letter. "Clara, you fooled me again." If there truly were ghosts in this world, Clara, after becoming one, would surely be provoked to death by me, because I didn't follow her instructions. Using the money to start a business, buy a house, or simply save for old age, I ignored it all. I exchanged that money for bus tickets. My goal was simple: to find Clara's grave. She wrote so much, yet forgot to tell me something so important. I felt a deep sense of injustice. I couldn't accept having spent 8 years in prison, thinking about her for 29 days, only for it to all amount to nothing. No, absolutely not. Clara, even if you turn to dust, turn to flowers, you still have to talk to me. I kept mumbling, traveling everywhere from south to north, west to east, asking about her, but finding no trace. Clara had completely hidden her tracks. I couldn't even find out which hospital she had died in. Day after day, I felt like I was starting an endless journey of reformation all over again. Perhaps even merciful heaven couldn't bear to watch any longer. After all, if I went insane, the danger to society would be no less than a full-blown swindler. Then one day, on a bus in some small town in the northeast, I accidentally looked out the window, and my entire body instantly trembled. "Driver, stop the bus. Stop it now." My frantic banging on the window scared everyone. The driver cursed, pulled over, and opened the door. I bolted out like an arrow, running like a mad dog towards that receding figure. It was December in the northeast, and I was drenched in sweat, my breath ragged. "Wait!" The figure stopped, turning back in surprise. In that instant, both our pupils dilated. Yes, it was her, Clara, still alive. Before I could utter another word, she turned and ran. This time, I was even more certain it was her. I aggressively stomped on the black, snow-laced ground, leaving a deep trail of footprints. The freezing air rushed into my throat, stabbing directly into my lungs. I gasped for breath, my back drenched in sweat, steam rising from my collar, but I still couldn't catch up to the small figure ahead. I give up, I thought. It's strange, 8 years of exercise in prison and I can't run as fast as her. She never ran this fast before. She was frantic and panicked, but in my heart there was a strange comfort. At least she looked healthy, even if every breath she took felt like spitting blood. I still gritted my teeth, pumping my legs. I had a feeling this might be the last chance heaven would give me. If I didn't catch her this time, it would be goodbye forever. Either I catch her, or I run until I drop dead. I scrambled over the dirt slope and plunged into the barren forest. A house suddenly appeared before me. I watched Clara slip inside, the door closing behind her. "Ah!" I yelled, then charged straight at it. Crash, the iron door burst open from my impact. Oh my God! Before me, a bald man I had knocked over lay sprawled. His face was full of wrinkles, he had no hair on top but a white beard. I had no time for him, pushing straight inside, but my calf was gripped tightly. His hand strength was immense. Rough, bony joints clamped onto my shin. "Friend, what are you doing? Why are you barging into someone's home?" A thick northeastern accent boomed. I gasped, "Let go, I'm looking for Clara." Hearing the name Clara, the bald man's expression changed. The hand gripping my calf trembled slightly. "Friend, you're looking for her, aren't you?" I followed the direction of his pointing finger and instantly froze. Hanging on the wall was a black and white photograph of Clara. The bald man said grimly, "She died 8 years ago." "Haha, are you playing a movie with me?" I yanked my leg free and strode directly into the inner room. From my observation, this room had no other exit. Clara was trapped. The deeper I went, the stronger the scent of pine wood became. It was then that I noticed the strange decor of the room. Golden talismans adorned the doors and walls, and the cotton curtains were printed with obscure symbols. Wooden objects were displayed everywhere, many of them bizarre and unidentifiable. This place was not normal. An irrational panic seized me, and I blurted out her name. "Clara, I know you're in here." I pushed open the slightly ajar door, and a sudden chill ran down my spine. In the dark, square room, there was only a black coffin. The bald man's voice echoed from behind me. "Don't believe it? Then open it and see." Inside the black coffin was Clara's pale face. Master Jin poured me a cup of tea. "I know you have many questions, but you must hear me out first." I silently watched the tea before me, watching the rising steam gradually thin, and finally understood Master Jin's words. Simply put, Master Jin was no ordinary bald man. He knew a bit about the occult, specializing in fortune-telling, house blessings, and exorcism. 8 years ago, he met Clara online, who was at her wit's end. At that time, she had terminal cancer, with no hope of recovery, desperate enough to seek help from gods and demons. Master Jin immediately recognized Clara's extraordinary birth chart and dangerous fate. Furthermore, she had previously been a talented swindler. This made her the perfect candidate to become a phantom performer. So Master Jin performed a ritual for Clara. He used his dark arts to suspend this dying person on the boundary between yin and yang. From the perspective of the living, Clara died of illness, but she didn't truly enter the underworld. She became something neither alive nor dead. This was also why Clara's body hadn't decomposed for 8 years. Only in this way could Clara become a phantom performer. She used her specialized swindling skills to help Master Jin exorcise evil spirits, in exchange for a life suspended on the boundary of yin and yang. Master Jin then took a stack of thin papers from his chest and said, "If you sign this contract, I will perform the ritual for you too. After you die, you can meet Clara on the boundary of yin and yang." I remained silent. Master Jin chuckled. "I know who you are. The fact that you can see her now proves it." He continued, "Clara's fate, though strange, is not unique. There's another person of the opposite gender deeply intertwined with her destiny. You two, in our terms, are a fated trickster duo. Together, you can even deceive the most ferocious ghosts. Would you consider it?" I stared into the serious eyes of Master Jin, slowly saying, "I was only in prison for 8 years, and con artists outside have developed to this extent?" I stood up, pulling out my phone. "Old swindler, I'm calling the police to arrest you right now. Oh, I should also call an ambulance. After all, Clara lying in that coffin truly has no breath left. Even her body temperature is chillingly cold. This Master Jin probably gave her some kind of drug. If I'm even a moment too slow, it could be a real murder case." As I was about to dial, Master Jin suddenly barked, "If you don't believe me, then go to Mrs. Wang's house now. Tonight, Clara will be there to trick her ghost son." He slammed a piece of paper on the table, Clara's death certificate, dated 8 years ago. "Other things you don't have to believe, call the police if you want." Master Jin's composed expression was a little unnerving, and after 8 years in prison, I truly had a bit of an obsession with the police. In the end, I put my phone down. Watching the sun slowly set outside the window, I sighed. Rather than saying I didn't believe Master Jin's deceptive words, what I truly didn't want to believe was that Clara was dead. Although I didn't believe a single word Master Jin said, I was willing to be fooled just to see her one more time. After all these years of searching, one more night wouldn't hurt. Under the twilight, the antique objects in the room cast dark shadows. In the distant sky, a blood-red gloom echoed with hoarse bird cries. "Where is Mrs. Wang's house?" "At the east end of the village. My disciple, Sam, has gone ahead to arrange things." As I walked in the direction Master Jin pointed, I suddenly thought of something. I turned back, snapping a picture of Master Jin's face. "If I don't see Clara tonight, you'll be waiting for prison." By the time I reached Mrs. Wang's house, it was almost completely dark. From afar, I saw a thin, short figure crouching at the foot of the wall. He waved to me and stood up. "Are you the one Master mentioned?" I was stunned, only then realizing this must be Master Jin's disciple, Sam. Sam's gaunt face held a rich array of expressions. He raised an eyebrow, a cunning look on his face. "I hear you and that ghost woman are a fated trickster duo." I frowned, not wanting to talk nonsense with him. I pushed the door to enter, but a hand stopped me. "Not so fast. It's not the right time yet. You won't meet her even if you go in." Sam said in a low voice, "I need to make the rules clear first, to prevent you from ruining tonight's ritual." He cleared his throat. "Once you step into this courtyard, no matter what happens inside, you are not to leave before sunrise." I peered through the large door crack into the darkness. In the center of the dark courtyard stood a pitch-black wooden house. Not even a light was on. I asked, "Who's in the house?" "Only Mrs. Wang. She was possessed a few days ago, and her family came to my master. My master only needed one look to know Mrs. Wang was haunted by a very fierce ghost, so he invited Clara to put on a show." He whispered, "So tonight, in this house, there will be 2 ferocious ghosts. How could the living dare to stay? They've all fled to avoid the evil." I swallowed, looking at the black house with a shiver. Sam continued, "After you enter, don't touch anything haphazardly, and certainly don't touch Mrs. Wang. There's a bowl of black dog's blood in the room. Dip your finger in it a little, smear it on your eyelids, and you'll be able to see Clara. But remember, absolutely no physical contact with her." The biting night wind blew through. I clutched my clothes, silently nodding. If you want to see the sun tomorrow morning, you must follow my words, he repeatedly warned. For some reason, even though I thought these things might be his tricks, I couldn't help but feel a little nervous. I took a deep breath and stepped into the large courtyard. The large iron gate behind me slowly closed. Just before it shut, Sam's grim voice seeped through. Good luck. I pushed open the door, and a spiritual essence rushed into my nose, like the scent emanating from dying old people. The entire room was very dark, enveloped in the faint candlelight. In each of the 4 corners east, west, south, and north a long candle burned. There was no wind around, yet the candlelight swayed gently. The shadows of the objects in the room danced along with them. I couldn't help but hold my breath. On the table in the center of the room was a bowl containing something dark red. That must be Black Dog's blood. The cold, viscous dog's blood clung to my fingertip. I dipped my finger twice and smeared it on my eyelids. A slippery, cold sensation glided across my eyelids. Not daring to move around, I found a nearby chair and sat down. But as soon as my butt touched the chair, I heard a trembling old woman's voice from not far away. Who's there? I froze, turning my head in the direction of the voice, discovering someone lying in the inner room. Since the entire room was very dark, I could only vaguely make out a shadow. I gently stepped forward, entering the inner room, and smiled. Is that Mrs. Wang? I'm here to help you with tonight's ritual. This lie came naturally to me. The old woman lay on her side on the bed, her back to me, facing the wall. Her voice became strange, as if something was rattling in her throat. Exorcists. It's all just tricks. I thought to myself, this old woman still has her wits about her. She remained in her sideways position, unmoving. I still couldn't see her face. Mrs. Wang continued, Rituals are useless. Rituals can't harm me. Ha ha ha. Mrs. Wang suddenly cackled, her voice growing deeper, no longer sounding like an old woman. Goosebumps prickled my back. Her voice suddenly soared, laughing maniacally. What can the tricks of the living do to me? I turned and walked straight out. Behind me, Mrs. Wang's arrogant laughter transformed into a man's voice. At the same time, the candles in the 4 corners began to flicker wildly. The shadows in the room also trembled as if they had come alive. Cold sweat trickled down my back. The fear made me want to run out of this house immediately. But then I thought of Clara. Clara, why aren't you here yet? I gritted my teeth, stopping my steps towards the exit, gathering all my courage to turn back and re-enter that room. What in the world? I almost screamed. Clearly, a moment ago, only Mrs. Wang was on the bed. In the blink of an eye, there was another person, though only a pitch-black shadow. The figure definitely belonged to an adult man. He was pressing tightly on Mrs. Wang's back, his hands clasped around her neck. Hey, what are you doing? I roared with all my courage, but every word came out trembling. The man lying on Mrs. Wang's back slowly turned his head. It was a pale, gray face, a face that didn't belong to the living. He cackled, You can see me. If you can see me, why don't you get lost, you fool who doesn't know life from death? I was stunned, wanting to run, but my feet felt rooted to the ground. The next second, Mrs. Wang, beneath him, suddenly cursed, The one who doesn't know life from death is you. This voice was incredibly familiar. I felt as if my entire body had been struck by lightning. The ghost was also stunned. Before it could react, the man's chest was violently kicked by Mrs. Wang. His entire body was sent flying into the air. Mrs. Wang sprang up, pulling a red string from her clothes, swiftly looping it around the man's neck. It was then, in the candlelight, that I clearly saw Mrs. Wang's face. It wasn't Mrs. Wang at all. It was Clara, whom I had longed for day and night. It turned out she was the one lying there all along. The man, ensnared by the red string, immediately stiffened, unable to utter a sound, his entire body beginning to convulse. Clara tightened her grip, looking over coldly, her beautiful face in the candlelight like a classic oil painting. Those sharp, captivating eyes truly seemed to pierce through flesh, into the very soul. This man, when alive, was Mrs. Wang's son. 3 years ago, at Mrs. Wang's urging, he returned home from the city for the Lunar New Year. Unexpectedly, he died in a car accident en route. Dying filled with resentment, he couldn't find peace and became a ghost. He then clung to his mother, believing she had caused his death. Master Jin showed me a black and white photograph. In the picture was the man who had appeared at Mrs. Wang's house last night. That night's experience completely shattered the perceptions of an atheist like me. If the man's sudden appearance could be explained as him having been hiding there all along, then Clara's subsequent actions could only be described as miraculous. After she looped the red string around the man's neck, he first convulsed nonstop. A few seconds later, all the bones in his body fractured, all his joints twisted and shrank, finally clack, 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 compressing into an egg the size of a fist. The scene was so bizarre that, even after a night, it still vividly danced in my mind. Now that egg lay neatly in Clara's palm. She sat cross-legged on the black coffin, rubbing the egg like an old man rubbing a walnut. Looking closely, I could still discern the man's face on the egg. His limbs and facial features were all twisted into a single mass, like a colorful clay lump crumpled by an elementary school student. I found it a bit repulsive, so I shifted my gaze to Clara's face. She noticed me looking at her, her eyes slightly evasive. 8 years without seeing each other, there was a touch of awkwardness. "Clara, I was about to speak when Master Jin walked in. He turned to me and said, 'You saw how Clara dealt with that ghost last night, didn't you? That is the power of a phantom performer, something no shaman or wizard in this world can match.' Master Jin murmured, 'Because ghosts are creatures of the netherworld and humans live in the mortal realm, the two cannot intersect. Humans and ghosts also cannot physically harm each other, so no matter how powerful a wizard, they cannot capture ghosts. If humans and ghosts cannot harm each other, then why was Mrs. Wang possessed?' Good question." Master Jin gave me a thumbs up. "Ghosts cannot cause physical harm to humans, but they can affect their minds. Because they are an invisible form of energy, they can alter the human electromagnetic field, brainwave states, and so on. In general, the harm ghosts cause to humans comes from their very nature. When a person's mental environment is affected by spirits, that's what we commonly call being possessed. Therefore, to deal with this situation, special entities like phantom performers are needed. They are neither yin nor yang, neither dead nor alive. They can both physically interact with ghosts and serve as a medium to carry the magic of mortal realm wizards. It truly is a unique method for exorcising and subduing spirits." I looked towards Clara, who was sitting on the coffin lid. Many years had passed, but she was still exactly as she was in my memory, completely unchanged. Clara's living timeline had permanently stopped 8 years ago, yet she continued to exist in a different form. The layer of black dog's blood on my eyelids had dried after a night, and every blink felt like my skin was tearing. But I couldn't bear to wash it off. If I did, I wouldn't be able to see her anymore. Master Jin seemed to guess my emotions. He once again pulled out that contract from his pocket, his face full of smiles. "Well, still considering," Master Jin swallowed. "You two are a rare and hard-to-find fated trickster duo. If you can cooperate, no matter how fierce the ghost, you can stop it. Just think how many lives, how many families, how many." I raised my hand, signaling him to be silent, my eyes fixed on Clara. "I want to hear what you think." She frowned, silent for a moment, then softly parted her red lips. "Of course, I hope you can join me. Battling ghosts alone is terrifying." But I waved my hand, not listening to what Clara was about to say next. I turned to Master Jin. "I'll do it." Hearing this, his lips curled up to his ears, and he hastily offered me the contract. "I won't sign this, just perform the ritual on me." Master Jin asked suspiciously, "What do you mean? You want me to perform the ritual on you right now?" I nodded. Master Jin's eyes widened. "My friend, are you kidding? Didn't we say I'd do it for you after you died? Don't you want to live anymore?" Clara also looked anxious. She raised an eyebrow and walked towards me. I saw her stance as if she wanted to scold me. Resolutely, I licked my thumb twice, scrubbing away the dried bloodstains on my eyelids. The next second, Clara vanished, both sight and sound, from before my eyes. On the black coffin lid, only that strangely shaped spirit egg remained. I turned to Master Jin, nodding firmly. "I don't want to wait until I die. What if you die before me?" Master Jin almost fainted, his face turning red. "You certainly know how to talk, but you don't need to worry. I have many young disciples. I guarantee they can wait until that day." I shook my head. I've been in there for 8 years, completely disconnected from this society. Although they say I've reformed and started anew, an uneducated scoundrel like me can't find a decent job. Once my money runs out, I'll probably return to my old ways. These past years, searching for Clara, I don't have much money left. For the rest of my life, frankly, I don't see any hope. I have no family, no friends, no future. The only person I trusted has become something half human, half ghost. This life isn't worth living anymore. Therefore, Master, I said, clasping my hands respectfully, please help me become a phantom performer right now. I will use this path to atone for my sins, to repay this world. Master Jin was stunned. He blinked, and a sentence escaped his throat. You little rascal, I almost got conned by you again. You're simply impatient to be with Clara, aren't you? I grinned. You saw right through me. When I was alive, not only couldn't I touch Clara, but even seeing her required black dog's blood. It was too much trouble. Plus, the idea of teaming up with her to catch ghosts sounds incredibly exciting. I can't even wait anymore. So, when will you arrange the ritual for me? I'll commit suicide immediately. Master Jin was shocked, saying gravely, You don't need to go to such lengths. To become a phantom performer, you only need to complete a simple ritual with Clara. What ritual? He slowly uttered 2 words, the bridal chamber. Master Jin and I fell silent simultaneously. A moment later, I reached out to him. Give me the black dog's blood. I need to ask for her consent on this matter. After smearing the black dog's blood on my eyelids, Clara's face appeared directly before me. She was less than a centimeter away. I could even feel her breath, but I immediately realized it was an illusion. She had no breath at all. You heard him, didn't you? I have no problem with it. It's just whether you can accept it. Clara's large, round eyes stared at me, making me feel a bit uneasy. Suddenly, she snorted coldly, then laughed. Ethan, you've reformed very successfully these past 8 years. I was stunned. Why do you say that? Clara raised an eyebrow, half smiling, half not. If this were before, you would never have asked for my opinion. Red candles, silk curtains, a sleepless night. The dim candlelight shone within the green silk canopy. Clara and I lay facing each other on the large, blood-red bed. Her face was as white as winter snow, her hair black as a waterfall, her lips red like a cold plum blossom in the snow, lonely and alluring. How did you become even more beautiful after dying? I blurted out. Clara glared at me. You haven't touched a woman in 8 years. If a wild boar lay across from you, you'd think it was beautiful too. Not a wild boar, I corrected, at least a domestic pig. The cold wind howled outside the window. A faint blue light flickered on the horizon. It was almost morning. The candle light swayed. My eyes were like 2 nails, fixed on her face. I smiled. When I was alive, I was the one who led you into this profession, but now I have to call you senior. Tell me what I need to pay attention to as a phantom performer. Clara thought for a moment. There's nothing much to pay attention to, just follow Master Jin's instructions. He'll give you various tools and show you how to use them. We just need to team up, subdue the ghosts, and hand them over to him. Hand them over to him. Yes, she said. Remember that egg-like thing that was twisted into a ball yesterday? I'll never forget it as long as I live. That's actually called a spirit essence orb, which can be understood as a compressed form of a ghost. After certain conditions are met, they can be released and used for one's own purposes. Of course, people who master this technique are very rare in this world. Even Master Jin can't do it. Then why does he collect spirit essence orbs? I don't know, Clara shrugged. Maybe for souvenirs. I sat up and lit a cigarette. Do you remember a scam we pulled a long time ago? Which one? That time we pretended to be National Survey personnel and successfully conned a team of archaeology professors and students from a university. Thanks to their expertise, we excavated an ancient tomb. Clara continued, then you sold those artifacts on the black market, making a huge sum, but also landing yourself in prison for 3 years. Ha, Clara asked suspiciously, why are you suddenly remembering this? I shook my head, stubbing out the cigarette in my hand. No reason. The faint light of early morning filtered through the window. The entire room was enveloped in a deep blue hue. I casually adjusted the blanket, but my eyes remained fixed on a corner of the wall not far away. Without my realizing it, a thin, black shadow had appeared there. It stood upright in the darkness like an ancient tree. Its entire body merged with the shadows, only its 2 eyes on its face were devoid of any black. Those stark white eyes. I didn't know how long they had been watching us. Something's not right, I whispered. Clara, lying beside me, gently sat up. Clearly, she had also noticed the strange shadow. Her eyes were fixed on the corner of the wall. In an instant, her beautiful eyes gleamed with a faint, blood-red light. At the same time, Clara's hands, which had been beneath her pillow, slowly emerged. I looked closely, taking a cold breath. In those slender, fair hands, she held two sharp, cold daggers. The entire knife was less than an arm's length, but the blade was as thin as a cicada's wing, the tip so sharp it was blinding. I believed it could cut through bone. "Damn it, why did you hide these under your pillow? That's dangerous." "What's to be scared of?" Clara's lips curved slightly. "It's not for killing you. These are weapons specifically for dealing with netherworld spirits." Suddenly, a cold draft swept in from behind. Goosebumps erupted uncontrollably across my body. The moment I turned around, those stark white eyes, devoid of any black, were right in front of me. "Oh my God!" Before I could scream, these eyes abruptly rotated 360 degrees, spewing cold black blood. It was then that I realized what was spinning wasn't its eyes, but its entire head. In a flash, the two daggers in Clara's hands sliced across its neck, creating a crimson wind at lightning speed. Time seemed to stop. The blood droplets before me hung suspended in the universe like meteorites. The planet surrounded by blood droplets was the head flying in midair, severed from its body. The next second, each blood droplet turned into a falling star, and the head flew away rapidly. Swish! When Clara finished retrieving her daggers, the head dropped to the ground with a thud. I was speechless with astonishment at Clara's agility. She looked at me and smiled. "Look carefully and don't blink, you still have a lot to learn." I couldn't help but curse under my breath. Holy hell, that was so cool! But before I could express my admiration, a loud crash brought me back to reality. The old door was instantly flung open. A pungent stench immediately filled the entire room. Squawking footsteps echoed, and countless dark shadows poured in. Clara frowned. "Why are there suddenly so many?" I cried out in shock. "What are these things? Ghosts!" The word had barely left my lips when she darted like an arrow into the horde of dark shadows. Swish, swish, swish. In the dim light of dawn, the blades flashed. Wherever they went, a wave of blood rose. Blood splattered, and the heads of the demons fell simultaneously. The twin blades in Clara's hands spun and stabbed, creating gusts of wind. The blade light flashed ceaselessly. The sound of blades cutting flesh and bone echoed continuously. She was like a dragon dancing among enemies, severing heads like reaping wheat. Dark red blood and bone fragments flew, and wherever she went, dark shadows collapsed. I watched with stunned eyes. This wasn't killing ghosts, this was clearly art. After Clara killed the last demon, she finally took a breath, turned, and smiled at me. I was just raising a thumbs up, but the very next second, a black rope swish lassoed Clara's neck. "Ah!" she shrieked desperately, her legs buckled, her body falling backward. Whoosh! The rope tightened against her skin, cinching tighter and tighter. "Ugh!" Clara spat out a mouthful of black blood. The daggers flew from her hands. She hit the ground with a thud, motionless. A figure slowly stepped out from behind her. A familiar voice echoed in my ear. "You two fools, you've all been tricked by me." Master Jin tightened the black rope in his right hand. His eyes gleamed with malicious laughter. Master Jin tightened the black rope binding Clara. In his left hand, he carried a bulging cloth bag. With every step he took, the contents of the bag rattled. Master Jin chuckled. "This bag holds 100 spirit essence orbs, all painstakingly collected for me by your ghost woman over the past 8 years. What do you want?" I tried to sound calm, but my hoarse voice betrayed me. "Use both your lives, of course, to gain the power to control 100 ghosts." Master Jin laughed lewdly. "To control 100 ghosts, I need a phantom performer, a half-yin, half-yang conduit, and 2 of them at that. But phantom performers are incredibly hard to find. Before Clara, dozens of terminal cancer patients died at my hands, and only her case succeeded. Initially, I thought all hope was lost for this life, but then you delivered yourself to me. Truly heaven's blessing." Master Jin excitedly shook the bag in his hand, his face beaming. Consummating the ritual with a phantom performer can turn one into a phantom performer. This is a secret remedy I only uncovered a few days ago. I originally thought that if you died, I'd keep finding other men to sleep with Clara until one succeeded. I never expected you to succeed on the very first try. What luck. I gritted my teeth, my cheeks puffed, my fists clenched. Master Jin set the bag down and pulled out another identical black rope from his robes. "Well, talking to you is useless. I can only wish you good luck in your next life. Oh, I forgot. When a phantom performer dies, there is no next life. You two won't even become ghosts." My chest heaved violently, my whole body trembled. Clara, powerful as she was so easily subdued by this Master Jin. What hope did I have? Even if I had multiple lives, it wouldn't be enough to escape. Although phantom performers are the enemies of ghosts, they have no way to deal with humans. The half-yin, half-yang nature is both a phantom performer's sharpest weapon and its weakness. No matter how strong, a phantom performer struggles to resist the schemes of human sorcerers. This was also why Master Jin had been so confident for the past 8 years. He knew Clara could never truly harm him. Facing this desperate situation, I helplessly closed my eyes, feeling the black rope in Master Jin's hand looping around my neck from both sides of my ears. He kept moving closer, simultaneously increasing the force in his hands. I frowned, gradually feeling breathless. The pain made me restless. With a sudden burst of energy, I stood up and swung a punch directly at Master Jin, who stood before me. Thud! A dull impact echoed. My knuckles clearly felt the contact with flesh. Master Jin cried out pathetically, directly knocked to the ground by my punch. His posture was exactly like the first time I met him, the only difference being that this time he lost another tooth. Master Jin bared his teeth, spat out a mouthful of blood, clutched his left cheek, and looked at me in horror. I quickly removed the black rope from my neck, clenched my fists, and walked towards him. She can't do anything to you, but I can give you a proper beating. Don't talk nonsense, friend big brother. Before he could finish, I landed another punch on his bald head. ARGH? Master Jin lay on his back, legs in the air, rolling on the ground like a top. His face was covered in snot and tears as he continuously begged. I've lived a healthy life in prison for 8 years, exercising on time every day. Sleeping early, waking early, eating less oil and salt, living a disciplined life, staying away from women. 8 years passed, and physically, I'm much healthier than most people my age. I swung my fists hard so Master Jin could also feel the explosive health within me. He screamed miserably, finally spitting out a mouthful of nosebleed, his head slumped to the side, and he passed out. When Master Jin woke up, Clara and I had packed our belongings and were ready to leave. During that time, we found dozens of bodies in the cellar behind the courtyard, some decomposed to mere bones. That hellish scene almost made me vomit. It was then that I finally understood why so many ghosts had attacked Clara and me. Now, Master Jin's hands were bound behind his back, his face swollen, his head bowed low to endure the phantom performer experiment. For over a decade, this madman had deceived terminal cancer patients online, claiming he could use magic to extend their lifespan. Patients, under the influence of fear of death and the desire to live, sought out Master Jin, hoping for a final glimmer of hope. But what they ultimately received was a horrific demise even more painful than death by illness. Although I still didn't know why Clara was alive and transformed into something neither human nor ghost, what was certain was that this murderer had reached the end of his road. In just 10 minutes, the police would arrive. By then, no matter how powerful Master Jin was, he would have to rest peacefully under the death penalty of sacred materialism. I still don't understand, Master Jin mumbled. Why were my magical artifacts useless against you? The unexpected development had greatly shocked him. He was utterly perplexed as to why, after I supposedly became a phantom performer, I couldn't be controlled by him. I gave a cold laugh, saying calmly, because Clara and I didn't actually consummate the ritual. What? Master Jin's eyes widened. That's right, last night I didn't touch Clara at all. We just spent a sleepless night reminiscing about old times, so I'm still 100% human. In a fight of man against man, Master Jin had completely lost. I looked at Clara. She was tightly tying up the bag filled with spirit essence orbs, then placing it inside the black coffin used to preserve bodies. I told the despondent Master Jin, "Your biggest mistake was trying to trick 2 swindlers." I lit a cigarette and put it in my mouth. Even the most foolish swindler wouldn't instantly trust the words of a stranger, let alone your lies, which were full of obvious holes. Master Jin said nothing, his eyes full of doubt. For example, at first at Mrs. Wang's door, you had Sam tell me I absolutely must not touch Clara, or I would die. But just a little while later, you wanted us to consummate the ritual. Hearing such contradictory words, anyone would be suspicious. I took a deep drag from my cigarette. Furthermore, you underestimated the understanding between Clara and me. We've worked together for years. A single glance is enough to know what the other is thinking. A low-grade swindler like you trying to deal with us. You're far from it. Hearing these words, Master Jin bowed his head even deeper. He suddenly burst into laughter. Believing what you say would truly mean I've been conned by you. Master Jin slowly raised his head, staring at me, saying each word clearly. If you can't do it, just say so, don't drag it out. What do you plan to do next? Eradicate demons with you. You think that sounds great, don't you? Master Jin is dead. No one can teach me magic or give me weapons anymore. What's there to be afraid of? You're already so powerful, and with a strong assistant like me, no matter how skilled the ghost, we'll cut it down. Heh heh. The sun slowly set, the world bathed in a gloomy yellow light. I held the steering wheel, driving down an endless road. The back seat had been removed to accommodate the coffin containing Clara's body. In the rearview mirror, Clara lay on the black coffin, playfully twirling her daggers. I watched the sun dip below the horizon, taking a deep breath. There's one thing I haven't had a chance to tell you. What is it? I missed you. Clara stopped twirling, sat up. After a moment, she softly whispered in my ear, "No need to miss me now." My gaze shifted back to the road ahead. I said in a low voice, "Honestly, even now, I still can't believe any of this is real. I even want to go to a mental hospital to check if there's something wrong with my head. Maybe from the moment I got out of prison and saw the letter you left, I was triggered, and everything that happened afterward from beginning to end was just an illusion." Clara chuckled softly. What if the checkup reveals you really are mentally ill? I looked into her clear, radiant eyes and said, "Then I'll firmly refuse treatment.